What are we talking about today?
Today we were talking about different kinds of learning contexts. This is a way of understanding the set of circumstances where learning can happen. Basically, learning can take place in formal, non-formal, and informal learning contexts. This is a way of looking at learning that is used by a variety of experts and organizations such as the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which is also known as the OECD.
Okay, so what's formal learning?
Formal learning is intentional, organized, and structured. It is usually arranged by institutions. Learning is often guided by a curriculum and led by experts and trained professionals. Formal learning has traditionally been greatly valued and highly respected. An example of formal learning is schooling at most colleges and universities. In many ways, elementary and secondary schooling also fits in this categories. There's a curriculum that defines what concepts and materials are taught, and the students are graded based on their work and exams. So then what is non-formal learning?
Non-formal learning may or may not be intentional. It may or may not be arranged by an institution. It may or may not be taught by a professionally trained teacher or expert, but it's usually organized in some way, even if it's loosely organized, but there's no formal accreditation at the end of it.
Okay, so then an example of this kind of learning would be non-credit or community-based courses, professional development seminars, and working one-on-one with a tutor.
Exactly, yes. Okay, so what about the last one? What about informal learning?
Informal learning is never organized and it's never structured in any way. It's very spontaneous and serendipitous. It's not guided by a curriculum or a program in any way. It's often thought of as experiential learning. So, and there's again no formal accreditation in these cases.
So, a parent teaching their child the alphabet might be an example.
Mm-hmm. And they may not even realize they're in the teacher role.
Yeah, or even somebody younger, like a babysitter walking around the neighborhood with a child pointing out shapes, they would be teaching them the concept of shapes.
Mm-hmm. And again, they do it without thinking.
It seems to me that would be really hard to quantify, that kind of learning.
Yeah, well, just because it's hard to quantify or track does not mean it's invalid learning. Your kid is still learning about the alphabet or the world around them, which is important. It's just difficult to quantify.
Well, yeah, and not just kids. I mean, this video itself could be an example of informal learning, right? Because we're learning from each other, and anybody who watches the video is going to be learning as well.
Exactly. This is a great example of the learning contexts and how often these opportunities for lifelong learning are all over the place.
That's great. Thanks. I wonder what other informal learning opportunities I'm going to have today.
Who knows?